Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Pilot Lawyer Podcast. Thank you for your attention while this important legal information is reviewed. What you hear should not replace consultation with an attorney and should not be considered advice for your situation. On behalf of the Pilot Lawyer and your entire crew, it's our pleasure to have you aboard.
Welcome, aviators, to the Pilot Lawyer Podcast with us, the old Ison brothers at the Ison Law Firm. We're here to help pilots and those that want to become pilots navigate the FAA medical certification process. As we say around the old office, of course, if you don't laugh, you cry. The next 30 minutes, we hope to bring you the lighter side of what can otherwise be a frustrating process. So whether you're laughing at us or with us, join us, brothers, as we discuss the fascinating world of FAA medical certification.
Did you include the old Ison brothers because I turned 40 a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, why?
I'm staring right across from all of your wrinkles.
Or did you include that because you think you're getting old?
I'm seeing some crow's feet.
Really?
Listen, people
for some
out there
Botox.
in podcast land, Anthony has an obscene neurosis with his age. Do you think I'm getting old? Do you think I'm getting old? Do you think this age is old?
How much time do you think I have left?
I should probably spend a little more time worrying about my weight.
Yeah.
Think I'm fat?
You're not gonna last much longer with that BMI.
I got Dunlap's disease. Stomach Dunlap over my belt.
Classic. Anyhow, nice little dig you got in there on me.
Yeah. Well, that's not what it was intended. I just thought it sounded homespun. That's what I was going for.
Yeah, sure.
Like one of those home style buffets. You ever been to one of those?
Out of business, by God.
Yeah, there was one directly across from my apartment in law school, and
Why does everything have to come back to your time in law school?
because it was
You peaked then, okay?
Yeah. It was like my equivalent of being a quarterback in high school. You know, I'm Uncle
Sad.
Rico.
Buffet.
Go ahead.
Anywho, there was one across from my apartment in law school, and I don't think I ever went. Maybe once.
You know what? There was one across the street in chiropractic college
Why
as
is it
well.
all got me about that?
I don't know. But I never went once either. The clientele going in and out, no offense, did not make it all that appetizing.
You know, when I was a kid, though, when we were kids, the thought of going to like Golden Corral, that was perfect.
Chef's kiss.
What a blessing.
So none of that little banter has anything to do with this podcast today. That's just for your amusement, podcast listener.
Just to kind of eat up some time here.
Naturally.
So that being said,
Sometimes we eat up more time than others. It just depends on how much we really want to go eat afterwards.
I don't love the smell of the inside of the cabinets where my cookware is kept. So it's kind of off-putting to me.
You should be off-putting.
Yeah. Just too funny. All right. So a lot of folks have gone to AirVenture at Oshkosh, Wisconsin. We didn't go.
Oshkosh bagosh.
I think that we were in trial the week before, actually last week. We were in trial in Atlanta, Georgia on a falsification matter. Not on anything we falsified this time around. But anyhow, so we just didn't have time to make it out to Oshkosh, given our
You know what the crazy thing?
responsibilities.
I was thinking about this in the shower earlier.
Oh,
And I thought, we spend all day wrapped up in this aviation stuff. People wanting to call us, seemingly. I'm on the phone all day.
Yeah.
It's just like constantly being gotten at, which is fine, which is great. But then you go out to something like that and you're expecting, hey, I'm here. They're all going to want to see me. And it's like, you're just another number.
I'm Wyatt Bird.
I'm Anthony Ison. So that's always a narcissistic thought.
You're not as important.
You're not
as
as
you
sought
think you
after
are.
as you think. But
Unless you are. In which case,
they just don't know my
you're right.
face. I should wear a shirt that says,
I'm the pilot
You know
lawyer."
who I am. So narcissistic. Can you be narcissistic if you're identifying your own narcissism? I don't think so.
You're just a self-aware narcissist. That's all.
That's a new added layer of complexity.
They'll get to it
If we went out to
I'm so
Oshkosh and
narcissistic.
wore a shirt that said, I'm the pilot lawyer. Do you think how many people do you think would come up?
Zero.
I don't know about that.
That
I
sounds
think
like
we
a
had similar.
Instagram segment.
We had a booth out there.
That's
that
true.
Said
That's
as Sun
true.
and Fun that said
So
we're the pilot
lawyer.
We've tested this theory, and you were
Nobody
correct.
came
Nobody
up.
cares. All right.
So that being said,
Oshkosh is going. Was there any big news of relevance to us that came out of Oshkosh so
not
far?
really to us, but to the general aviation public, perhaps.
Well, it might.
So you got
It
this
might trickle down to us.
MOSAIC, which has come out. MOSAIC. And that's relevant to individuals that want to fly light sport. So, you want to think MOSAIC. What does it stand for? And I'll tell you. It stands for modernization. Let's say it together.
You say it.
Because you don't know. Modernization of special airworthiness certification.
Close enough.
Well done.
Modernization of special airworthiness certification.
Spectacular. Bring me 14 more of them.
Yep. Which brings me to another point. I figured out how to make those kind of like meme reels. And so check out our Instagram account and Facebook account if you want to catch some plucky little, if you want to catch some plucky reels.
Humor. It's humor.
It's humor.
It's G-rated humor. We're not going to put anything in there R-rated, although there are a plethora.
I'm sure.
Oh, we could do some
R-rated ones.
serious
That
stuff
would
there.
be
Yeah.
so appropriate, unfortunately.
The problem being is that, do I want, like some of our colleagues, do I want to get dressed up in a shirt and put my face on the video so it can give you some useless.
Well, then they might know you at Oshkosh.
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen this guy before.
So that being said, MOSAIC came out, and the question is as follows. How does it affect your eligibility to operate? How does your medical certificate affect your eligibility to operate under this new lavish set of rules?
Wait. The question was, how does your medical certificate?
Yeah, how does your medical certification affect your ability to fly under these lavish
If you
set
have a
of
medical
rules?
certificate, would you care?
You might.
Why?
Well, because then you could do light sport at night.
Yeah, but if you already have a medical certificate, who cares? You can be doing regular sport at night.
You do heavy sport, light sport.
Just crazy. Let's alienate those folks. So,
I mean,
no, but yeah. What is the point?
What's the point? If you have a medical certificate, you do whatever you want at night, right?
Plus,
is that the only advantage to light sport? Is that, hey, I don't need a medical? I mean, is that the only?
I would think for the majority,
I would say for the vast majority of folks is that
I think originally it was billed as you don't need to obtain as many hours in training. Maybe the costs were lower to, the threshold costs to get into flying were lower.
I can build my own plane.
You can build your own plane. Some other, there might be
other nuance.
There might be other little things that are appealing to it, but I gotta think,
at least in our world,
and this is our narcissistic world we live in. See how I brought that back? It has to be the medical.
I think that's a big part of it.
Because, how many times have we talked to people that have already applied for a medical and they've been deferred and now they're no longer eligible for light sport? And they're like, oh, well, I'll just go fly light sport. I'm like, whoa, not so fast, Paco.
Nelly.
You pump them brakes because you've been deferred and now you're no longer eligible for light sport until you become
let's get into it.
At which point,
Well, let's get into it. Maybe.
Aren't we into it?
We're not into it yet.
We were into it.
This is just like peeling back the first.
Why are my pants wet? Because I feel if we were into it, why wouldn't it be this deep in it?
So you're talking about the legs of your pants. That was a bad one.
We're gonna earn that E rating.
So yeah, MOSAIC. What does it do? What does light sport do? So I think the caveat to light sport generally is that you can't use light sport. You can't use it. It's useless to you if your most recent medical application has been suspended, denied, revoked, and in theory deferred as well, because our position is that a deferral still suggests that there's some medical deficiency, perhaps at that point, which requires an individual to self-ground pursuant to 6153.
What if I applied but never saw an AME?
Well, then the exam hasn't been completed and hasn't been activated. So if you complete the MedExpress form, fill it out, put all your tiny little problems down on it. Tiny. Yeah. And
just let it sit.
You just let it sit. It'll time out. It never gets activated by nature of going to see the examiner. We had one case a while ago where an individual did do that. Somehow I guess the AME like called the FAA to ask him a question, and they somehow saw the MedExpress, but he never went for the exam. And they sent him a letter saying, "Hey, well, what's this all about? You reported X, Y, and Z on your exam on your MedExpress." And I had to write a letter and say, "Hey, well, you never went for the exam. This isn't activated, so disregard." They're like, "Oh yeah, it's disregard." So that worked out nicely. That being said,
for you,
yeah, well, for him too, because then he was eligible to go back to basic med and so on and so forth. So
a win column for Anthony.
Yeah, and it's all about me.
Yep.
So that being said, when it comes to operations that require only a U.S. driver's license, the relevant regulation is 14 CFR 6123 subsection C, which states that a person must hold and possess. You must hold and possess. What's that about? Hold and possess.
Maybe it hasn't been suspended or revoked.
It's in your hands. Either a medical certificate issued under Part 67 of this chapter, or a U.S. driver's license when exercising the privilege of a student pilot certificate, so on and so forth. And then it goes on to speak to operations that are relevant to light sport. So a person using a U.S. driver's license to meet this requirement, such as individuals flying under light sport and under MOSAIC, presumably, while exercising a sport pilot privilege, must, 1, comply with each restriction and limitation imposed by that person's U.S. driver's license and any judicial or administrative order applying to the operation of a motor vehicle. So it speaks to the license, not privileges. So if you're licensed in one state and maybe you have some action against your privileges in a different state, that's different. But give me an example, Christopher. Give me a little bit of discussion about like a restriction on a driver's license or a limitation on a driver's license. What would that look like that would be relevant here?
Restrictions on driver's license?
Right. Stay with us.
Limitations?
Yeah.
Are we talking about not valid for night driving as a restriction?
Perhaps.
Or, must wear
corrective lenses.
Corrective lenses, monocles.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Monocles.
Monocles?
Monocles.
Monocles?
Monocles.
Monocles.
Mr. Peanut.
A cule.
That's not the, again, go down a side quest, but what's that? What's that effect with the guy from Africa? What's his name? The guy. And it's
You'll have to be more specific.
There's a lot of people in Africa.
South Africa.
There's still a lot of people down there.
The guy,
we're getting
Mandela. Is it Mandela effect?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So the monocle, that's a Mandela effect that people think that Mr. Moneybanks from the Monopoly has a monocle.
Is it Moneybanks or Moneybags?
I don't know. That's his own problem.
Anyhow, so
they think he has a monocle.
You got a restriction on a driver's license.
He doesn't have a monocle.
He doesn't have a restriction on his driver's license.
He might. He's driving that car around the track there, collecting 200.
Point is, if you got a restriction or limitation on a driver's license, you're gonna know. All right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was why do I gotta point out what these people probably already know?
Oh yeah, I got this.
Well, they might not know it. How many times have you seen people?
Rich Uncle Pennybags.
Pennybags.
That's his name.
Pennybags?
Pennybags.
Moneybanks or
Rich Uncle Pennybags.
That reminds me of an episode of Seinfeld where Kramer reversed the people and he's describing it to Jerry to say, well, I don't know if someone's going to be waiting in there wanting to hit me with a sock full of pennies. Sock full of pennies.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. So driver's license restricted. You gotta exercise that same restriction as it relates to your ability to fly.
Has your FAA medical certificate been denied? Are you concerned you may not be able to get a medical certificate from the FAA? Are you at risk for FAA action for failing to report your medical history appropriately? Call the pilot lawyer at 1-855-FAA-1215 to discuss your options for getting the FAA to issue your medical certificate and get you flying. We are happy to evaluate your case and discuss with you a plan for presenting your case to the AME or the FAA. Aviation law is all we do, nothing else.
How is it any of this? Again,
It doesn't change.
Let's land this little light sport aircraft into something that's relevant to what we're doing.
Oh, I'm trying to get to it.
Well, let's just get to it.
So again, somebody's operating a U.S. driver's license with MOSAIC or light sport in general. It hasn't changed in this capacity. You have to have been found eligible for the issuance of at least a third-class airman medical certificate at the time of his or her most recent application, if the person has applied for a medical certificate. So what that's getting at, and it kind of goes on to say, not have had his or her most recent issued medical certificate if the person has held the medical certificate, suspended or revoked, or the most recent authorization for a special issuance of a medical certificate withdrawn, and not know or have reason to know of any medical condition that would make the person unable to operate a light sport aircraft in a safe manner. So
All this is a MOSAIC.
all of this applies to MOSAIC. So in other words, if your most recent medical certificate has been suspended, denied, or revoked, or if you have applied for a medical certificate and it has been denied, you wouldn't qualify under light sport
So, in terms of
to
the
operate at all.
medical operation for MOSAIC, nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
And really, the only thing that's maybe changed otherwise are the types of aircraft you can fly and what.
Yeah. So the only thing that's really changed, of course, are the types of aircraft you can fly, and there are operational improvements, if you will.
So they haven't gotten rid of third-class medical certification.
No.
They haven't gotten rid of basic med.
Well, the only addition that's relevant to medical certification for light sport and under MOSAIC is now you can get an endorsement to fly at night, which you weren't previously able to do. The problem, though, is that in order to utilize that night endorsement under light sport under the MOSAIC platform, you now requires either a medical certificate, third-class medical certificate, or basic med, which again begs the question, why would I be flying light sport? Maybe there's some explanation. Why would I take that? Why would I not take advantage of the third class privileges if I'm capable of holding a third class? Because that's the distinction.
Perhaps because you've only obtained light sport privileges and you didn't get private pilot privileges.
Sure.
You didn't want to spend the extra money and training to get the PPL.
But you're not going to be able to do that because if you've been denied a
The thing, this is it.
If you go into
light sport because you can't get a medical, well, you're not going to be flying light sport at night under MOSAIC because you can't get a medical, and the only way you're going to be flying light sport at night is with a medical.
So it's like, why did they add that night? Night's only going to be available to people who get a medical. Well, if you can get a medical, light sport sort of becomes, maybe kind of moot. I mean, now maybe you can.
I mean, just think of all the more stuff you could do with a private pilot airman certificate as opposed to light sport certificate.
Again,
if for not that much more time and energy, you're going to have much greater operational opportunities. Did you say opportunities?
I did.
Yeah,
I sure did.
Yeah.
I was paying attention and I chimed in.
There you go.
So a lot of people come to us, they've been deferred, and they'll say, well, I can go fly light sport while I'm waiting for this deferral to go through. And we're always of the mind that no, you can't, because the most recent medical certificate wasn't issued. And you have these considerations that are under 6123 and 6153 that say, essentially, if you know or have reason to know of a medical deficiency, you should self-ground. Our perspective there is if you've been deferred by the medical examiner, that gives you some impetus of an understanding to say, well, the examiner didn't think I was eligible to be issued a medical on the spot. So there's some
plucky industrialist individual should do a letter of interpretation to the general counsel's office on that. And say, hey,
I had one authored, if you remember, right?
I do recall.
So the FAA will, if you send them a letter and ask for, an interpretation of the regulation, they will sometimes. I've heard that it takes like 5 years.
Yeah,
to get them back.
you'll be dead before they get around to it. But sooner or later,
I will be. Because I'm so old. But in fact, they will write back. I think they're also selective with. I don't even think they answer every one of them, but they may write back and give their interpretation of the regulation, and those letters actually become sort of persuasive guidance and their interpretation of the law that you can utilize in an enforcement action or at the NTSB in some capacities.
Well, you won't be utilizing it because it's going to be swayed for the FAA, but
correct.
Still,
but that question of can someone operate a light sport or basic med during a deferral? I had that all written up, ready to go. I was going to send it out. And there's well, do I send it? Do I not? If it creates some bad interpretation and then
they were about to, but that was circa beginning of this year when they were supposed to be just denying everyone outright.
Yeah.
There were not going to be any more deferrals. We're done with deferrals. You come in to see your AME and he don't like, the look of your condition, denied, and then you take it up with the FAA.
And I ran it past the legal team of a large aviation conglomerate. And they told me to tap the brakes because they were afraid of what the answer. I think they were afraid of what the answer would be.
Well, that's a whole
Wouldn't you want
to
know it before though? Going into the NTSB
wouldn't you
or
rather
something
live
like
in
that?
the world of gray than
let's
the
live
world
in
of black? I guess is what
better than
the thought process
living
is.
in a blue world.
But 6153, I think is just a real pathetic. Nobody knows what's going on there. It doesn't seem like so.
6153.
Yeah,
well, I mean, there's a recent case on that, and even the judge, was like,
"What is this?
What is this? Nobody ever talks about this. We haven't seen this in forever." And
what is it, Alex?
Operating under a deficiency.
I was trying to get you to do your classic line.
It's Fugazi. Pixie wind in the dust.
That was funny. He was like, we put him on the spot. He thought we were quizzing.
We actually wanted a real answer from him.
Well, it's not much to talk about here, I guess, other than to just reiterate.
I mean,
that
if you're in light sport, if you're presently in light sport, hey, good for you.
Great. It's great.
You got some more options.
You can go fly a
to
172 and everybody be
but
happy.
you can't even put more people in it.
Yeah, well, hey, listen. At least it's the feel of something different.
Hey,
at your fingertips. Everybody knows they like to feel something different under their fingertips from time to time, right?
Oh, God.
Jeez. Go ahead.
But if you're just getting into this now, ain't nothing new.
Changing,
you're either gonna get it or you're not gonna get it.
Yeah. If you can get a medical,
if you can get a medical, then you're gonna be in light sport, or you're gonna be in.
And if you don't think you can get a medical, just don't apply at all, because that's the kick ticket. Some people will go and they'll apply for a medical, and they get deferred, and then they go home and start Googling. Oh my gosh, I could have been flying light sport.
This has happened, but people have applied for medical, been deferred, and they're going to get denied. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because their history is specifically disqualifying. You've had a heart attack, you've had epilepsy, you've had a history of bipolar disorder or substance dependence, diabetes. You apply, you get deferred, you're going to get denied, because those, what I just referenced, are some examples of specifically disqualifying medical conditions. So the FAA is going to appropriately deny you under the regulations. And then you're done. And the only way you're going to be able to get back to potentially doing light sport is if you somehow finagle a special issuance out of the FAA. And that's going to be an uphill battle. I mean, not saying it can't be done, but it's depending on the condition, some might be harder than others. And then again, if you get a special issuance, well, now you've got a medical certificate. So why you go in light
What's happening
sport,
here?
you know?
Yeah.
So I think the real takeaway from it all is do your due diligence before you put pen and paper.
Yeah. I think that's the best thing you've said all day.
Don't go off half-cocked.
Other than, where's lunch?
Well, now that is the question.
That's a good question.
The hour.
Well,
I know it's not going to be a hometown buffet.
Or the corral. We'll be corralled.
Well, you've logged another uneventful half hour listening to the Pilot Lawyer podcast. Even though they shudder at the thought of us talking about MOSAIC at the FAA, we're the Ison brothers of the Ison Law Firm. We'll see you next time.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.